The primary content type in WordPress is the post. When the WordPress was first created, the only thing everyone could do was just create post. In the WordPress, we have three main types that we can work with, which are posts, pages, and media items. To start with post, a post would be an object typically comprised of text and images, an image gallery, video, audio file, or any documents such as PDF files. The nature of a post is that it's part of a stream of published materials and that it is more or less a regular update. In a WordPress site, you can sort posts based on categories and tags. You can look up posts published by a specific author, and you can look at posts published during a specific year, a month, or any specific day. What are the differences between a post and pages in WordPress? To talk about this, posts are regular updates and are published in a stream. They are organized by categories and tags, by publishing date and time, and by the author. Whereas pages, on the other hand, are published as standalone objects. They're only organized based on parent or child relationships. Pages are mostly about the company and its services, or products, as well as contact details stays in your front. They pretty much stays static and fixed. Whereas posts are published in a stream of data and are generally current, relational, and a bit ephemeral. Starting from the top, like you have seen, we have the title field. This is where you would enter the title of your post. Next, we have the content editor, where you can write text and add images and other media content. The content editor has a toolbar that allows you to edit text like you would in a regular word processing application. At the top of the right-hand column, you find the Publish panel, where the status of the post can be changed from draft to publish, and we control the publishing date and time of any post as well from here. Creating a new post. Creating a new post in WordPress can be done either from the WordPress toolbar or from the admin panel. You can create a post from the backend admin panel by hovering over Posts and selecting Add New here. And this takes you to the new post editor. Once you start adding information to the new post, let's say a title, for the example sake, this is my first post. WordPress will automatically generate a permalink for us that you can see down here. Once the permalink is generated, we can click on Edit to change the permalink. Now WordPress will automatically save this post as a draft. This means even if I now navigate away from this post or close my browser, anything else, WordPress will remember this, what I just did, in the form of draft. So if I go to the admin menu and click on All Posts, and I will find my draft items here. Now it's time to start creating your post, and that process always begins with adding a title. So I'll start out my post by adding my title, which is already added. In this case, this is my first post. And then I can start writing content in the content editor panel. Because WordPress works like a word processing application, you can write your post directly into the interface. Or on the other hand, you like to write content in another application, either on your computer or online. By default, the content editor toolbar has one row, and the second row of Tools button. The first button I want to show you is on the second row, and it's the one you will use every time you want to copy and paste content into WordPress, whether it's from the web or from a document or from somewhere else. The button in question is this clipboard here that triggers the paste as text function. Click paste as text and the content will now be pasted in as plain text until you toggle this option off. Now I can go to any document I've created before from any website, copy the content from that document and paste it in without having to worry about styling being carried over in the process or maybe corrupting my page. As an example, I have a document in Google Drive that I want to publish on my post. It has the same title as my post, and as you see, there's some styling here. I have some bolded text, some italicized text, and there's a quote, and then there are some headings. When I copy this from my Google Drive to the WordPress, I need to strip off all this styling because the styling is for Google Drive, not for my WordPress site. And that's exactly what paste as text does. So in the Drive document, I'll copy all the content except for the title because I already have the title. So Control or Command C to copy, then jump back to WordPress. Make sure that paste as text is currently checked. Then I will take away the content I've just typed in because I don't need it anymore and just paste it in the content from Google Drive. Now that I have just the text from the Drive document in my post, I can turn paste as text off and begin bringing the formatting back in, starting with the headings. With the headings separated, I can now assign the correct heading levels to each of the headings in my article. I do this by placing my cursor on the heading and then using the drop down here at the top of the toolbar where I can select what heading level I want. Now I know this may sound strange, but when you add headings to a post or page, always start with headings. That is because heading 1 is already reserved and used by the title of this post or maybe page if you're working on a page, and you only want one main heading per page. So you can start with heading 2 and use the others when appropriate to create a proper hierarchical heading structure. The first heading in my article is heading 2 because it is the main heading for this article. When I scroll down, you'll see I have a second heading, and this is actually a subheading under the heading that we have already used. So under follow these steps to get rolling, and that means I need to set that one to heading 3, of course. As you create posts and pages on WordPress, it is important to use this heading structure properly to create hierarchies within your content. That means all your main headings are going to be heading 2, and if you have any subheadings under those, they're going to be heading 3, and then 4, 5, 6, respectively. So the content hierarchy is preserved, and people who use text-to-speech browsers or other accessibility tools can navigate the content. With my heading structure in place, let's look at some other features in the toolbar. Looking back at my main article, you'll see that some of the text here is either bold or italicized. You see here, importance of good content is bold. And have you ever been accused of being grammar Nazi is italicized. I also have this code down here which is supposed to look somewhat different or being highlighted throughout this post. Now I want to apply that some styling to my document inside WordPress. I'll start by finding the text I want to bold. I can now either highlight it and click on the bold button in the toolbar, or I can simply use Command or Control B to toggle bold on and off, just as what we do in the Word file. Same thing with italicized. You can highlight the text you want italicized and click the italicized button. Use Ctrl or Command I to toggle this button on and off. Next on the toolbar, after italicized, we have bullet list and numbered list, or unordered list and ordered list. These are used to create a list in your content. Let's say I want to create a bullet list with some items. So in this case, I first create a new paragraph by hitting return or enter where I want the list to appear. Then I click the bullet list button, a bullet appears, and I can type in item 1 and then enter, item 2, enter, item 3, and when I want to break out of my bullet list, I enter twice. Next on my toolbar, I have a quotation mark that marks a block quote. There's a quote that's supposed to look different from the rest of the content. In HTML, we have a feature specifically for this purpose, and it's the feature hidden under the quote button called block quote. If you place your cursor anywhere within a paragraph and then click the block quote button, that text is broken out and made into pull quote within your article. It's styled differently and displayed differently, telling the viewer this text has been pulled out just like in a newspaper article to highlight, and they will continue being separate from the rest of our content. The next 3 buttons are for text alignment. Now, technically, you can use these 3 buttons to align your text right, center, or left. However, your theme is already doing this job for you, so I urge you to take great care when using these features and make sure you preview any of your changes before committing it to a live post. After alignment, we have the 2 link buttons. Now, it's time to create links in WordPress, both through content on the wider web and also to content within our own website. Now, how we add, edit, and remove links has been changed in WordPress. From here, copy the link URL, Control or Command C, then go to the WordPress editor in your post or page and highlight the content you want to turn into a link. That could be a single word, a sentence, or an image, or something else. Let's highlight the sentence here, online marketing agency, and then simply paste the copied link, which is http://www.tdm.com.np. This automatically creates a link for us, and we get this nice tooltip telling us exactly where we are pointing to this link. So if I click anywhere else and then click back on the link, you'll see the tool tip up here. I can see where the tooltip is pointing. If I click on the link, I'm redirected to that link to make sure it works. And if I want to edit the link, I click the edit button. This opens the URL field for editing. So here I can change the link if I want to. And if I want to make further edits, I can also click this wheel here, link options, that opens the insert edit link dialog from which I can change the URL. Change the link text. So that is the displayed text in the post or page, and most importantly, I can toggle this open link in a new tab box on and off. If you are paying close attention, you will notice when I click on the link, a feature highlights on the WordPress toolbar. Here we have a button that relates to links. Insert edit links, that will take us directly to the tooltip. Now, remove link work exactly the same as the X inside the link tooltip. It simply takes the link away. The last button on the first row is the toolbar toggle, which opens the second row. Here on the second row, we start with the strike though, which I have already mentioned, and then we have this button called horizontal line. If you go to a new line in your page, let's see it down here, and click this button, you get a line. And that's exactly what this button does. It adds a horizontal line in your content, which function is to show in the markup that there is a separation between the stuff that went before the line and the stuff that comes after. After the horizontal line, we have text color, which works exactly the same as bold and italic. Simply highlight some text, pick a color, and the text turns blue. This feature works fine across all themes, but I would recommend being very careful about using it because sometimes the text color you pick might match other colors that are used in the theme. Maybe link colors or something else, and it might end up being confusing for the end user. We already talked about paste as text in the very beginning, and the next button actually brookens the text color button very well. This button looks like an eraser, and that's precisely how it works. If you highlight some content that has been styled in some way and then click on the eraser button, you take away the formatting. So this is a simple way of removing formatting if you have accidentally applied it. Now, if you do this by accident and you want to return to the way things were, you can use the third to the last button on the second row. Undo, and this will bring back the features you just removed. Under the omega symbol is the most important tool in any kind of editor. Click it and you will get a modal pop-up with special character where you can pick and insert any kind of special character you don't have on your keyboard. Next to special characters, we have two-dimensional buttons, decrease indent and increase indent. Now, I find this most useful when you are working with nested list. So let's say I have a list here. Let's make a paragraph and then make a list. And I want these sub-items to be a sub-item of item 3. In that case, I would select the item and then click on increase indent on that item. And you can see it now shifts in underneath items 3. I can do the same with the second one here, and I can also indent them so that they become 3 nested items. Now once they are indented, I can of course decrease the indent the same way and maybe highlight 2 of them and decrease the indent. And this way I can manage nested list properly. Finally, if you click on the question mark, you get a full breakdown of all the available keyboard shortcuts and the many hidden shortcodes in the editor. Knowing all of these shortcuts will make writing and editing content without a mouse will be much more faster. Once you have finished styling your content in the WYSIWYG editor, you can take a peek behind the curtain by switching to text view. This gives you the actual raw code the browser uses to format and style your content. For every piece of content you have styled, the browser sees a tag. So for this instance, importance of good content, which is in bold, on the visual side has the tag strong wrapped around it. On the code end, for italicized content, we have an M and M wrapped around, and the same thing for block quote and end block quote. It makes it much easier when you start adding images and the other media elements to your post and want to align them. Once all your content is styled to your liking, move your mouse out of the editor field to see all the other panels. And then go to the publish field and click on preview. Now what this thing will do is it will open a preview of your post on the front end. That will only be visible or only you can see. And here you will see the content styled the way you set up. So now you know how to create your post and style the content within the post using the content editor. We're going to talk about the differences between the categories and tags. Now, whenever you create post, you're already kind of dealing with categories as well as tags. But tags in this case is not compulsory. Categories are meant for grouping of your post. Now, posts are kept inside the relevant category, such as if your post is about cars, you first create a category named automobile, and all of your cars related posts will go inside the automobile category. Mobile, electronics, and other relevant may go under the gadget category, and vice versa. Categories are there to also help identify what your blog post is really about. And it is to assist readers finding the right type of content on your website by simply choosing the category that interests them and browse through posts under the selected category. While tags are meant to describe specific details on your post, you can think of these as your site's index words. They are treated as microdata that you can use to micro-categorize your content. For example, if you write your personal blog about day-to-day life, and when you write a post about something that you ate, for an example, you'll add it in the category of food, whereas you tag such post with pizza, pasta, steak, etc. Adding categories and tags to your post is done from the post editor. Because categories are mandatory, they appear first in the right-hand sidebar. You only have one category called uncategorized before you start the WordPress. This is because every post must belong to a category, and WordPress doesn't know anything about how you want to organize your content. But if you do not assign a category to your post, it will always automatically be set to the default category here, which in our case is uncategorized. Now, uncategorized is obviously not a good category to use for this post, of course, so you need to know how to make a new category. For example, the post I'm currently writing is about this is my first post, so it would make sense to create a category called blog post. I can do this by simply clicking the Add New Category button under the main category list. When I click this button, I get a new field that opens up. And here I can type in blog post and make this the new name of my category. Once I'm done making the category, I will click Add New Category. It automatically gets added in and floated up to the top of my list. Now I can see I have two categories applied to my post, which is blog post and uncategorized. Since I no longer need uncategorized for this post, I will uncheck it. So now the post is categorized as blog post. You can see now you can also create parent-child relationships between your posts. So for example, if I want to create a new category called news, I can simply type in news and then use this drop down underneath to set blog post as the parent. This would create a new category that belongs under news, and what would happen is if you go to the front end and you go and look at the category index for blog post, you will get all the articles that are either categorized as blog post or as news. However, if you look at the index for news, you would only get the post categorized under news. That's how the hierarchy works, and that's why the hierarchy is important to understand. But for now, we are going to leave it at just blog post. Now, if you have a lot of categories and there are some you use a lot more than others, you can use this most used tab. Now, right now, it doesn't make any sense in my example because I do not have a lot of categories yet. But as you start using your site more and categorizing more and more posts, you'll see a curated list of your categories here. Tags in this case are quite different. They are free text-based, meaning you type in whatever tag you want to apply to your post and then comma separated them, and then you can add them in bulk. Once you've added your comma separated list of tags, you simply click on Add, and you can see all of these tags appeared down here underneath. Now remember, tags are case sensitive. That means I already have a tag called national, but if I go in here and I say national comma and I type it out with a capitalized N and then add it, I would now have two tags, one that's called national with capitalized and one that's called national uncapitalized. And if you want to remove them, you have to click this little red X next to each of the tags to take them away. So when you're making tags, make sure that you are consistent on how you write them out, and also make sure when WordPress tries to help you to use existing tags rather than constantly adding new ones that looks almost the same. When I've added my categories and tags, I'm going to click Save Draft, and my post now has both categories and tags. Now, I often misspell my categories the first time I add them, so I can go in and edit that here and this will automatically impact all the content on your site. So editing your categories or tags from these views won't actually detach them from your post. It will just change everything throughout the whole database. You can also choose to do a full edit. In that case, you go to the full editing view where you can set a new name, a new slug, a new parent, and write a category or tag description. So this description would only show up if someone goes to the index page for that particular category or tag. If this depends on the theme you are using, some themes support description, some do not. So you need to check to make sure that the theme you are using uses descriptions if you want to use that. Once you're done with the post creation and editing, you can simply go ahead for publishing your post. From the section, you can publish, schedule, and update your post, as well as move it to trash. Right now, since we are in the draft post, it says publish. If you click it, the post will go live right at that moment, and the button will change to update. Posts can be published immediately or can be saved to draft as you want to recheck later before publishing. You can schedule by any month, date, and time, and once chosen to schedule, WordPress clock will automatically live it on your behalf. But you can always modify the publishing date even if the post is published. You can also change the status manually by clicking this edit button and then using the drop down to pending, review, or even to draft. If you change the status and update the post is taken off from the front end and is now flagged as pending review. You can also choose to set the post visibility to password protected, in which case you have to enter a password and whoever wants to see it needs to enter that same password. You can also set a post to private, wherein only logged in users will be able to see the post. These options are less commonly used and generally used only for membership sites or sites that share personal content or content for small groups. For the most part, you will only be using the Save Draft, Preview, and Publish button from within the Publish panel. But if you have posts created and finalized and published, it will be available immediately to the front end of your website for the public view.